Hello again, I'm Caitlin and welcome back to Fragrance University. In this how-to video, we'll be making hot process soap. If you've seen the cold process how-to, you'll notice a lot of similarities in this video. We'll be using the same basic recipe to keep it simple. This will allow you to experiment with cold and hot process methods without having to buy a ton of ingredients. To make hot process soap, you'll need a crock pot or slow cooker, thermometer, stick or immersion blender, silicone spatula, whisk, and a mold to pour your soap in. Just like cold process, this method involves the use of lye, so you'll need to safety up with the following supplies: long sleeves and pants with no loose ends that could get caught, gloves that fully cover your wrists up to your sleeves, protective eyewear. The oils you need for this recipe are 16.64 ounces or 32% coconut oil, 16.64 ounces or 32% palm oil, 16.64 ounces or 32% olive oil, 2.08 ounces or 6% castor oil. The oil mixture will account for 65% of the total recipe. This will make 80 ounces or 5 pounds of finished soap. You'll also need to make a lye water solution that will make up 31% of the recipe. For this, you'll need 8.7 ounces or 35.2% sodium hydroxide lye, 16.05 ounces or 64.8% distilled water. Finally, you'll need a fragrance and colorant, 2.4 ounces or 3.25% skin-safe fragrance oil of your choice, 0.85 ounces or 0.75% colorant mixture consisting of 0.34 ounces of mica powder or pigment powder and 0.51 ounces of sweet almond oil. You'll want to have your supplies prepped and measured out beforehand. This will make it a lot easier to work fast as you go through each step. I've got my chosen fragrance here on hand, which is Oatmeal Milk and Honey by AFI. When you've got everything prepared, you can start making your hot process soap. The first steps of the hot process method are the same as that of cold process. You'll need to start by making a lye water solution by dissolving sodium hydroxide in distilled water. Make sure to carefully pour the lye into water and not the other way around. This will prevent any spills. When the lye is fully dissolved, the solution will be clear. It can now be set aside to cool while you prepare the rest of your materials. Turn your crock pot on. The setting you use is up to you, and it will depend on the device you're using. Some soap makers recommend using a high setting, while others use a low setting. Because you're just getting started making hot process soap, it's best to start using a low setting until you're more comfortable with working a little faster. Measure out and melt your oils in the crock pot. Mix your 3 oils together until they melt. Now you'll need to check the temperature of both your oils and lye water solution. Before being combined, they should be around 120 to 130 degrees. The two will incorporate best if they are within 10 degrees of each other. When the temperatures are right, place your immersion blender on the lip of the slow cooker diagonally and slowly pour the lye water solution down the stem of the blender. The surface tension will allow the lye water to drip down the blender without splashing onto your clothes and surrounding surfaces. Now it's time to blend. Pulse the blender in short bursts, followed by hand stirring. The mixture will become a creamy color as it's blended. Vary between stirring and blending in short bursts until trace is reached. You'll know that your mixture has reached trace when the trails of the soap from the blender hold their shape on the top of the rest of the soap. Trace is also evident by the tracings the prongs of the immersion blender leave when placed in the mixture. When making hot process soap, you'll want to bring it to a thick trace. It should be the consistency of a rich custard. Once this point has reached, it's time to place the lid on the slow cooker and begin the cooking process. Cooking the soap using the hot process method will remove the need for long curing times once the soap has cooled and hardened. The length of time it takes to cook the soap will depend on the temperature you cook at, your device, and the recipe you use. It can take anywhere from a half an hour to an hour. Within the first 10 minutes of cooking, keep a close eye to make sure it doesn't bubble over. If the bubbles rise too much, stir the soap gently and scrape the bubbles from the side. While you don't need to monitor the soap for the entire cook time, it's a good idea to check on it every 10 to 15 minutes. The soap will go through different stages at this point. Soon it will look like a thick and glossy Vaseline. At this point, the soap is ready for the additives. To make sure the fragrance remains strong, allow the soap to cool under 180 degrees. If the soap is too hot, the heat could burn off some of the fragrance, giving you a weakly scented bar. Once the soap has had time to cool, add the fragrance and pre-mix colorant bit by bit. A little bit of colorant goes a long way, so you might not have to use the whole 0.85 ounces to achieve the desired effect. Stir well with a whisk and spoon the mixture into the mold before it cools down too much. Don't worry about it looking perfect. It's all part of the hot process method. The soap does not need to go through a gel phase or cure for the same amount of time as cold process soap does. While it can be used right away after it's cooled and hardened, it's still best to let it cure for 3 to 4 days for a harder, longer lasting bar. Your hot process soap is now complete. Remember that soap making takes hours upon hours of practice and experimentation, so your first batch won't be perfect. There is no tutorial or quick tip that can replace this research. Don't let this discourage you though. If you struggle, just go back to the basics. If you want to expand your knowledge of soap making, make sure to follow us on our final how-to where we'll be showing you how to make liquid soap. Until then, thank you for watching Fragrance U. I'm Caitlin and we'll see you again soon. Bye!